ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Seattle Pandemic Shutdown, day 71. I forgot to say hello to the children of all ages and the fellow pandemic travelers. So this is the first time I've been on a metered ramp in 70 days. So, nature is healing itself, I guess, right? Metered ramp again. A yardstick of civilization. What did I see? Jeb Bush tweeting out that the people who want to keep the shutdown going are all still working. And it's time to reopen things. And this blatant disregard for how fast my commutes have been is just unacceptable. I mean, come on, people. I mean, metered ramps? Really? Do we really have to go back to that? I don't know. I might have said this in another video, but like, the thing about getting back to quote-unquote normal, as necessary as it might be, my joking aside, is that the normal that we left was kind of messed up. We had all kinds of problems: social problems, cultural problems, drug problems, political problems, energy problems, epistemological problems, traffic problems, you know, congestion. All these things that were problems before are going to come back, because it's not like we solved them during this hiatus. Hell, we didn't even get the roads paved when this would have been the perfect time to pave all the roads. Just saying. Oh no, it's a rolling stop. See, this is why you don't take I-5. And if this is a return to normalcy, I might continue making videos, but I ain't taking I-5. Well, no, that wasn't my objective. My objective was to film it when it takes 45 minutes, not 10. And this, right now, is the most traffic I've seen on I-5 in 2.5 months, I guess. 70-something days, that's for sure. And all this extra traffic means your likelihood of encountering a bad driver goes up dramatically. And, yeah. But where is everyone going? What's open? I mean, the boat ramps and such are open. Is everyone leaving town? I mean, it's not like you can go... see, this is where I still don't understand. I dug a little deeper and found what the state policies actually are supposed to be for things like bars and salons and different businesses opening. Now, I didn't get a clearer answer as to whether or not, you know, like King County, for example, is in phase 2 yet or not. I don't think it is. There are some counties that are in phase 2, but not King County. That's, you know, the greater Seattle area. So then again, where's everybody going? Are people going back to work? Like, what is this? I don't understand. Nothing is open, but everyone's going somewhere? I don't get it. But it's been confusing like this entire time, right? I mean, we've all been kind of perplexed by everything, but everyone getting back out and going places. I mean, everyone's not going to the grocery store, right? This is again, a return to normalcy. Normalcy means I-5 is a parking lot. For, I mean, kind of most of the day, I think. It is often just gridlock. And then you get into downtown, and then downtown is also gridlock. And I'll look back on the empty streets with a little bit of fondness, I'm not gonna lie. I know we need people on these roads, right? We need people driving around, going places, doing things, hopefully making stuff for all of us. But yeah, the homeless are back. Had an uptick in homeless activity at work. They disappeared. I don't know where they went, but they went somewhere, and now they're back. Remember the opioid crisis? Remember that? That's still a thing. Like, that didn't, I assume, didn't stop just because we shut down the economy. Wasn't the fentanyl coming from China? Is that gonna matter now? I don't know. But people who were addicted to opioids probably just kept using this whole time. I pondered about that in the early days, about how this would impact the illegal drug markets, because you have to smuggle stuff comes from overseas, you know, heroin and all that, like opium and stuff comes from the Middle East, right? Like, it's got to ship around the world, and no shipping or less shipping, then there's less ability to smuggle. I don't know. Probably a factor or an issue somewhere along the line. But yeah, our political problems are still, I mean, everyone's still insane about politics and Trump, and now you've got Obamagate or Spygate or whatever you want to call it, this Byzantine, this story about the FISA courts and Obama and Biden knew that they were spying on the Trump administration, and they trumped up charges against General Flynn, and all of this, it's just a rabbit hole of I don't know what, and no one's going to be held accountable. But these same shenanigans, these political hack games that we've been playing, you know, this was all here before. It's continuing to occur during it, and it's going to continue after. And did we learn any lessons? I mean, aside from you should all wash your hands more, and maybe we need to wear masks during flu season, like, did we learn anything? Did we learn how the economy works? No, apparently people just think people keep thinking that you can just have the government print money and give everyone money, and then that everything will be fine. And that's, you know, not how real life works. At the same time, how local businesses and stuff recover, I mean, again, people wanted to make this a political issue, like it's conservatives or Trump supporters or something that just want to go back to work. I assure you, in liberal as hell Seattle, there's a whole bunch of small businesses that want to reopen, which is what I assume some of this traffic is. These people are going somewhere, I guess. I don't know. This guy's got a mountain bike. Maybe he's going out of town and gonna go mountain biking. Good on you, bro. But yeah, our political divide is still here. Our cultural conflicts are still here. Now we have this, which is like a combination public health and economic crisis, the likes of which no one has ever seen. And we're going to watch the ripple effects of this play out for literally years. No one necessarily knows how it's all going to go, like how it's all going to play out ultimately. Not good seems to be a major consensus. We still don't really understand the full, the full scope of the COVID-19, even the virus itself. Like, we don't necessarily know what's. Yep, I'm stopped on I-5. Yep, for the first time in 70 days. Stopped on I-5. Again. Twice now in 71 days. There'll be a lot of these little moments, though. As we get back to normal, you'll be like, oh, it's the first time I've drank a drink at a bar for the first time in however many days you've been locked down. And I gotta tell you, those people in Wisconsin going out and getting a drink, they looked pretty happy. Pretty happy about it. That is what we want to be doing. So here's the other problem, is as this commute takes longer and longer, I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about. I already briefly touched on Obamagate and how America was a dysfunctional nightmare before this, and that's a whole bunch of stuff. But no, I guess the Trump administration, I guess they backed some kind of big solar deal, which I don't know if that's a ploy to try to appeal to the green, the Green New Deal type people. And solar's like fine. I mean, it's I guess that's good, but the practicality of the actual, I crunched these numbers a while back, and it's really dismal. Like, if you look at what global energy demand is going to be over the next, 40 to 50 years, and then how much energy we're producing now, and what to make up the shortfall between now and then with something like solar panels and wind generators and stuff, you would have to, one figure was basically cover 5 entire Earths with wind generators to generate enough energy for global demand a few decades down the road. Now, obviously, solar panels and stuff will get better, but I feel like these are energy red herrings, and next-gen nuclear reactors is the way to go to actually meet this demand before we run into severe shortage problems in the future. But yeah, so the Trump administration went in on, went backing this big solar deal, $100 billion or some other, meaninglessly large number. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, some politicking stuff getting done, some policy things actually happening. It's business as usual in some regard. See, that's the thing, right? Is there's something to having been everyone getting all over this COVID, the pandemic, for obvious reasons, right? We're all impacted by it. But then there's other people who were kind of being smart and living life through the pandemic. Again, I brought it up before. There's a house across the street from mine that they just completely renovated, and now it doesn't look like a meth lab. Looks like a perfectly fine house. Imagine getting something like that done during this pandemic. Again, everyone could have taken up Rosetta Stone Spanish or something. I think it was Ed Lattimore on Twitter said, you should come out of this with some kind of new skill. Sewing, cooking, something, learn something during this whole thing. I can't necessarily say that I learned any new skills. I did too much tweeting, probably. Oh boy. And that means, see, more traffic also means there's probably more foot traffic, which also then means that there's probably just gonna be more buses and everything. But that's also a separate problem, which is that the city is talking about slashing some metro budgets for obvious reasons. I mean, the costs for just the lost tax revenue, right, is going to hit the city, not now, later. Like as services get cut, that's when people will start to feel the full economic impact of, just the loss of tax revenue, but also the figures I was looking up, I've said it before in this video, it's something like $900 million comes into Seattle every year from the cruise ships. Now, cruise ships can kind of come and go all year long because people do take those, weird cruises, but the bulk of them come in the summertime. And I'm pretty sure it's about 3 or 4 months of a couple a week, come in and I guess you'd say moor down at the piers in Elliott Bay, and there can be 2 at a time, I think, if I'm remembering right. So basically a couple skyscrapers full of people a week pull up, and people go ashore and they go, I assume, to the dispensaries. They go through all the shops and everything in downtown, and they dump a ton of money into all the bars and everything else, and I do not see that happening anytime soon. Like Carnival Cruise Line said they were going to start back up, and I find that adorable. Who can afford to take a cruise now? Who's going to want to take a cruise? And where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Right? Like, all the businesses are now closed, some of them permanently, or they're still quarantined. What, are you going to hop off the boat at every port of call? They're not going to let you do that. That doesn't make any sense. After all this, they're just going to let people, you're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks when you're at the end of your cruise if you went anywhere, right? I don't understand how, you know, and I brought this up and people were like, well, yeah, but they'll just declare bankruptcy. I'm like, yeah. But what do you do with a cruise ship? Who do you sell it to? How do you liquidate a cruise ship and sell it to someone when people aren't taking cruises? That's the problem. It's the same thing with these airlines and stuff, right? It's like, yeah, you can sell those assets, I guess, to who? Like, someone else is going to start up an airline and it's going to work, but it couldn't work for the existing airline because people aren't flying. I don't know. Some of these businesses, as big as they might be, are just going to go under, and we haven't seen such a thing before, unless, of course, in its infinite wisdom, our government decides to bail everything out again with our tax money. Entirely possible. But how do you get, again, I've said this a bunch of times, like, how do you get the trust back to do the things we did before that supported all these industries, which then supported all the employees, right? So all these cruise ships with all the staff and all the maintenance people, the fueling, I don't know, even the insurance and financing of the things, the ports where they go and support local economies, all of the people associated with that industry are now just going to get kneecapped. And it's not, it's not their fault that they took those jobs at the time before, the pandemic. Ooh, I see lots of flashing lights. Maybe that's why we're backed up and not because of the bulk of traffic, an increase in traffic. Maybe. Could be. We'll see about next week, because I feel like people think we're in phase 2 or more, or they just don't care what phase we're in at all. Because it seems like people are just going about their business. And I mean, I see people in the grocery store not wearing masks and stuff, and they're not requiring them. They're not checking when you go in. Costco did. Costco demanded that you wear a mask, but Kroger isn't. Oh boy, now what? What happened? Is there a reason why you're all in my way? Oh, we got a tow truck. Got a pile up? What happened? All right. That might have been a factor, but it still seems like total number of vehicles on the road is up. And I mean, if you can see, it is gorgeous out here. That is one weird thing about this whole thing, is that this spring, the last couple of months have just been wonderful. A little bit of rain here and there. It maybe rains pretty hard for a day or so, and then it's just beautiful and sunny and warm, and it's everything that I wanted it to be. And then the COVID damn bug ruined it. All right. See, now that that was like twice as long as these videos have been. These videos have been like 8 or 9 minutes, and we're already at 19 minutes, I believe. Ridiculous. Again, getting back to normal is not all a good thing. In fact, it's a good time to, I'm gonna say snarkily, like, put a pin in some things. Like, hey, remember when that stopped too? Let's put a pin in that. Oh, that's back. Remember when everybody would go out to clubs and then people would, like, drug people with, like, GHB and stuff? Date rape and all that? That'll come back too once we all start going clubbing again, right? Like the problems we had before are gonna continue, and then we'll bitch about those once we're over bitching about this and all of these problems. But I hope that there's been some kind of long-term takeaway, some kind of lesson got ingrained into everyone's brains about sanitation, society, law, our government, how our various institutions behave, that China is asshole, I don't know, various lessons. But keep an eye on all these things as life gets back to quote-unquote normal. All the things that are bad that come back too. Alright, that's enough doom and gloom from me. Remember, I go out so you didn't have to, but now I think you're all going out anyway, so F it. Bye.